Please consider joining us on our website. You'll have access to Interesting Minds, crime series, and a tutorial so you can see how I do it. I can't guarantee you'll figure it out, but I will teach you how I see people. G7 happened again. Macron and Trump sitting together, just the two of them.
In a few words, in order to make it confront to Mr. President, first of all, I do welcome Mr. President and his wife, and we are very proud and happy to have you here in Biarritz, in this place, for this G7, and once again very happy to host you. You are a very special guest for us, and our discussions are very important.
Well, he keeps looking down as he's giving this little welcome speech to him. And this literally is just an act for the presses. True interaction is when, it's not portrayed, as obviously this is portrayed. I will say, just from this, you see Macron, he's a little guy. So where he sits in the chair is much easier to relate on how he is. And his legs are splayed out. He's like a rabbit, ready to jump up out of that chair whenever. Trump, he's got his feet tucked under the chair, close together, arms together, crouched in. Not really a position of strength, but considering all that is going on, could be stress.
It will be the occasion, obviously, for us to discuss a lot of crises. We will discuss Libya.
Goes tight-lipped on crisis. That word all by itself, even in another language spoken, needs no introduction. Crisis, and then tight-lipped on it. So that is a major stress point. So whatever the crisis that he has in mind that he's speaking on is something that gives lots of stress in his closed mouth.
Syria, Ukraine, North Korea, and Iran. A lot of this crisis basically needs a strong coordination with the partners around the table.
No, we didn't actually get to see Trump's beginning of that, to what caused him to move around as he did. But again, him mentioning it and then listing these countries, and we see, after the fact that he's moving around, that is some bone right there. There is a bone there, crisis and countries mentioned, that both leaders are stressed about. And we have no idea which one. It could be one country. It could be money. It could be banking. Who knows?
And especially on Iran, we have to fix the situation, and we had a lot of contacts, and I think we have to work very hard, because I think we do share the same objective. First, being sure that Iran don't get access to nuclear weapons. And second, stability of the...
They don't like looking at each other. That's kind of weird. So most of the time, he's looking down and at the floor. He finally looks at Trump, and Trump looks away from him. They don't even like looking at each other. Now, why do humans not like looking at each other at certain times? One is challenging, or the other is challenging, or it could be misconstrued as a challenge. So you don't want a challenge, so you don't look at the other one. That's one reason. Guilt. If you're guilty, you don't like looking at someone else. If you're looking for an escape because of stress, you really don't like looking at the other person that gives you stress. These are just a few reasons on why we're seeing the behavior between the two of them of not liking to look at each other.
We will discuss as well about the economic global situation, how to decrease tensions and fix the situation in terms of trade exchanges, because I think if we manage to fix the situation, 7 of us, we fix a great part of the world, and this is a very important element of our discussion as well. And obviously how to find...
So now he starts fiddling with his knife. So he's uncomfortable even confronting on these issues. I'm talking about Macron, and it comes from the body language of Trump when he was looking over at him, and Trump is looking at everyone but at him and not even acknowledging what he's saying. And I'd imagine Trump is doing that because he knows that this is just an act.
Thank you very much, everybody. Having a very good meeting, very good series of meetings. Last night we had dinner, it worked out. I think it was fantastic.
It was fantastic. We covered 3 subjects. Actually. We were meant to cover 10 subjects, but in the end we did 3.
3 that we'll talk about.
We did 3 in detail.
Okay.
Mr. President,
there is an underlying stress there. I'm talking about Trump. It's not defeat. You see how he's got his shoulders slumped, his hands are just kind of resting at the edge of the table, and he's leaned in for the obvious reason of looking at people that he can't see because of the people next to him. The face is more solemn.
Advice from Boris Johnson on Brexit?
He needs no advice. He's the right man for the job. I've been saying that for a long time. Didn't make your predecessor very happy, but I've been saying it for a long time. He's the right man for the job.
You're on message there, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for that. And we're looking forward to having some pretty comprehensive talks about how to take forward the relationship in all sorts of ways, particularly on trade. And we're very excited about that.
We're having very good trade talks between UK and ourselves. We're going to do a very big trade deal.
I will say, as we see this interaction between the UK and the US leaders, even though Trump has that underlying stress, he feels comfortable with these leaders to be relaxed. I'm comfortable in not pretending that I'm happy. It's okay if I feel like bahum. It doesn't matter, which is nice. It says that there's a very good relationship there. I don't have to pretend with this one. Dear God, I can be myself. And unfortunately, we can't really see Boris, so we can't give a really good read on how Boris is reacting to this, other than he keeps making jokes.
At Fox News Alert, you're seeing here President Trump sitting down with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Let's take a listen.
So as we saw him, he's going back to his feet underneath of him, but they're not tight together this time. And he's in his normal sitting position. Now, mind you, Abe is his friend. Even Abe is a little stressed because I haven't seen him act this way in general to Trump whenever they're together. Fist. I mean, he's literally got his hands in a fist except for one finger out, holding them tight together. You'd think that they know the world was about to end.
It's agricultural, and it involves e-commerce and many other things. It's a very big transaction, and we've agreed in principle. It's billions and billions of dollars. Tremendous for the farmers.
And he still has the underlying stress. I think we'll probably see this for a while. This may be the underlying theme through the entire G7 is an underlying stress.
Mr. President, on a separate issue, there are reports that the Iranian foreign minister is coming to Biarritz. Can you confirm that? Is he trying to meet with him?
No comment.
So he's really upset about this whole Iranian thing coming. Before he even answered the question, he said in here he's given a negative head shake. No comment. Trump doesn't usually say no comment. That's not normal. He's a pretty open guy. So to sit there and see no comment come out of him, and then the negativeness that he's associating with it says he's not happy. Now watch that again.
Mr. President, on a separate issue, there are reports that the Iranian foreign minister is coming to Biarritz. Can you confirm that? Is he trying to meet with him?
No comment.
イランの外相がビアレッツに来るということについてはノーコメント。
He went tight-mouthed on that as well when he sat there and said that. No comment. Looking down, he's not a happy man. I wouldn't be very happy about it either. Not going to put me in a room with someone who screams death to me every time I turn around. Well, with all the news media fabrications, like he was going to drop a nuke in the middle of a hurricane, when I read that story, I was like, I don't even know what to believe anymore. My list of credible news is slowly dwindling down to nothing.
Well, thank you very much. We've had a great couple of days, very productive, and Chancellor Merkel and I have really, I think, come to some very good conclusions on lots.
Okay, so now we're seeing Merkel, and she is at the edge of her seat, kind of like Macron was. We saw Trump when he first started this. His hands were in a fist mode, intertwined, and just really just stress.
On lots of things, including trade. We do a tremendous amount of trade with Germany, a great trading partner. And
yeah, there's real big tension between these two. She does speak English. She doesn't like to, but she does speak English. On the edge of her seat, hands collapsed, elbows tight in, looking around just in general. She is listening to him. This is not where she wants to be.
We've reached agreement on a lot of different things, and we probably think we're going to be up.
We reached agreement on a lot of different things, and she turns her head slowly over towards him. To me, a disagreement.
Upping the trade over a very short period of time. We do a lot of trade, but we can up it quite a bit. We also talked military, we talked defense, we talked about...
She didn't give a head in the positive when he said we could up it quite a bit, so apparently that's a negative in her end.
A lot of different things, and a lot of really wonderful things were concluded. I think it's been a great 2 days. So thank you very much. Very much. Thank you.
She didn't even want to shake his hand. She goes to shake his hand, and you see the tight-lippedness as she's shaking his hand. Like, argh. And then he's drawing his hand back, and he's giving tight-lipped.
Also, ich wollte nur sagen, ich kann das bestätigen. Wir haben hier sehr positive Gespräche schon geführt und wir werden das jetzt bilateral fortsetzen. Und ich glaube, auch angesichts der engen Beziehungen unserer beiden Länder zueinander können wir auch schwierige Themen gut miteinander besprechen. Well, I can only
I think this is Mnuchin over here in the corner next to Trump, but you see how he's petting himself. He's caressing that hand. He's not even in front of the camera talking. Oh, that's fun. We'll get to him in a minute.
Found this, we had indeed very productive talks while we were here, and we're going to continue such productive talks on a bilateral level, and in view of the very close relationship that binds our two countries together, I'm confident that we can do good things together and can continue our good relationship.
No doubt. And we've also had a very good G7. I think it's been really a productive G7.
Right.
And coming to a close, I guess sometime this afternoon, we're going to be doing a press conference. I'll be doing one later. Perhaps you will. Are you doing a press conference? I hope so. If you do one, I may go. Just to watch.
So then Trump's Trump. He brings in the joke to get her to open up a little bit. She smiles. She does not open up. Let's get out of here.
But we'll be leaving after the press conference, going back to the United States. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. President, do you still consider tariffs on German cars?
Say it.
Do you still consider tariffs on German cars?
I hope not. I mean, we're going to come to some conclusions. We talked about a new trade deal between, not just Germany, really between the Union and ourselves, European Union. And
no, he didn't like that. Between Union. You see the body kind of tense up on the whole word Union. Yeah, he doesn't want a trade deal with the Union. Apparently, he wants a trade deal just with Germany. Tight lip Trump, feminine boy.
Well, it's always a pleasure to sit down with President Trump. We've had some good conversations already, particularly on the global economy. The Canadian and American economy are doing well, partially because of the trading relationship we have and the great work we did. Quite frankly, around the table, there's a lot of people wanting to make trade deals.
Again, you're still seeing that underlying stress from Trump. Trudeau is just Trudeau. At this point, you should just expect he's always going to be feminine the way he acts. He's always in portrayal. He's a disingenuous guy. And there are just people like that. They come at you with a front, a faux face, and that's their representation of themselves to the world. And you never actually see their true face outside of that unless you're in the inner circle, which makes them come off as disingenuous.
With each other, and we have a deal that we were able to negotiate that's good for our workers, good for our citizens, good for the middle class, and that's the kind of thing that we need to see more of around the world.
Trump is giving positive head shakes to him and looking over him and giving him a reassuring smile.
Always a pleasure to talk about a broad range of global issues, and good to sit down with you. C'est un plaisir d'être ici avec le président Trump pour parler du commerce et de comment on va.
And he always gets uncomfortable when people speak a language he doesn't quite understand. And you see that when he sits there and adjusts his jacket. Trump must be uncomfortable. He's adjusted his jacket.
Continuer à travailler pour la classe moyenne, pour nos citoyens. Merci d'être ici dans l'autre.
So we're going to be significantly expanding our trading relationship when the USMCA gets done and completed. Our farmers love it, the unions love it, the workers love it.
Now they're giving positive head shakes to each other, which does say that this meeting, whatever it is, has gone, I guess, better than prior, giving reassuring smiles to each other. So the relationship, even though we have someone who presents a front, is getting better, at least in this little realm. Who knows about tomorrow? But in this realm, at this moment, it is good.
Manufacturers love it. Everybody likes it. I think most Democrats like it. So hopefully that'll be put to a vote fairly soon. It's got tremendous support, both, I believe, Democrat and Republican. It has been signed and finalized essentially by Canada and essentially by Mexico. So we're waiting for that from the United States. And we have really great support. And it's something, I think it's a very special agreement. And it replaces NAFTA, which is perhaps the worst trade agreement ever done. Certainly within our country, it's the worst. I can think of one worse, but it's not within our country. It's outside of our country. That's the WTO. That's a beauty. So
Trudeau's face just fell, and then it went right back up. Oh, I guess Trudeau disagrees on that one. But regardless, let's move on.
Creating confusion for leaders who are here at the G7.
I don't think there's any confusion. Let me say, these meetings have been going great. Yesterday, the president had an hour and a half private.
These meetings have been going great. Now, this guy is always squirrely when it comes to cameras. I think he's just a nervous guy. No time do I ever see him actually completely relax. The only problem with him is that he's horrible at lying. When you got somebody with nerves like this, unfortunately for them, when they're lying, it becomes really bad. These meetings have been going great. He's tight in the mouth. The mouth is literally tight. If it weren't for the fact that he was actually saying a word at that moment, his lips would be so tight together they'd turn white.
At lunch with Macron, I sat in, as did Larry, for the last 15 or 20 minutes. Very important on both economic issues and national security issues. This morning we had 3 bilats.
Now he keeps looking at Kudlow to give him backup that this is great, that we sat in the last 20 minutes. It was good. He can back me up. Life's wonderful.
With Japan, the President and Abe just made an announcement with Ambassador Lighthizer on a major trade agreement with Japan. This is a very big deal for e-commerce and agriculture. It's going to really help beef, corn, other agricultural sales. We had a very productive meeting with Canada. We're expecting that the USMCA will get passed in the next month or two. And
I was in the economics and trade meeting this morning, 2 hours. You know what? The vibes were good.
He just doesn't give a anymore. The vodka was good. He does slur his words at times. And right now he seems like he's kind of had some. He's a little lit. But just so you know, there are medical conditions that can make you sound tipsy.
There are always disagreements. You know, you've got high-powered leaders here, and there may be tactical disagreements, but every single one of them, I'm going to say this again, every single one of those leaders agreed that some's got to be done with China's unfair trading practices. Every single one expressed support on that very key point. So I'm just saying, the contentiousness and the arguments that some people were writing about 24, 40 hours ago are not happening.
And that's deception. We don't give very good eye contact. On top of saying this, we bow down into it. We make ourselves smaller. And then we go into a huge portrayal of movement. Now, I don't think they're throwing knives at each other, but I definitely don't think they're singing Kumbaya and holding hands.
The Minister specifically said he opposes tariffs. The British Prime Minister said he opposes tariffs.
Well, again, different people may have different views on tariffs and how we're executing, but we had a terrific meeting with Boris Johnson this morning. He couldn't have been more supportive there are issues with China. He supports us on these issues with China. And by the way, we're expecting a terrific US-UK trade agreement. This is something Ambassador Lighthizer and his counterpart are going to start working on, and we expect...
Now he's sitting there talking about the Boris Johnson meeting. Now, they don't have to fabricate anything in this one, and you see, he is a nervous guy. He's always going to be tight. He's always going to have stress somewhere in him. He's just that guy. But see how much quieter he is, and the jerky movements are gone, and he's not looking for an escape. He's just quiet. It's quieted down. And he doesn't have to look to Kudlow so much for support in what he's saying.
We'll be able to do a lot more business with the UK.
Just to follow up on that, let me just make an add on. Boris Johnson's a free trader, and expressed that view. I am a free trader. I believe my secretary is a free trader also. President Trump has said
free and fair reciprocal trade.
There you go.
Tell him the president proposed the three
zeros that surfaced in something I wrote a year ago and wrote it again Saturday. The president repeated it today. His vision here is 0 tariffs, 0 non-tariff barriers, and 0 subsidies. And so when Boris Johnson and others say they're free traders, the president believes that too, free, fair, and reciprocal trade. So I know you're trying to find a little bit of room of disagreement with the thing, but I didn't hear a thing this morning from Boris.
How can you say you're a free trader in the middle of a trade war?
Sometimes, you got to take some stern
Because we
measures.
don't have free trade with them. That's why. So we do not have free trade. It's a one-way street. They have free entrance into our markets, our investments, our companies, and we do not have the same thing there. That's the only reason why we are in this situation with China. If China would agree to a fair and balanced relationship, we would sign that deal in a second.
You see how they are on that one? This is the argument right here. This is their strength, where they don't have to look to each other for strength. Back me up, dude. Back me up. No, they don't need that. They can just tell it like it is, which is how it should always be. If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.